Chiefs got up on Christmas morning and forgot to bring their game. They lay an egg, cut their chances to win this ball game and to do anything in the playoffs today on Christmas Day. Why? How did this happen and who had the edge? Welcome to RGR Football. I know it sucks. Merry Christmas to all of you guys. We're going to give you a catharsis as we go through and go rogue on what just happened, and you're not going to like what I have to say. So hang with us. It's going to hurt. This is going to do more than sting, but we got to get the truth out there. This is Dan Harms. I'm Ryan Tracy. This is RGR Football, and we are live post-game as the Raiders come into Arrowhead. I hope they don't do another lap, but they might deserve it because they were on top of this team from the get-go. The stockings are still hung on the mantles at home, and no Chief showed up today outside of L'Jarius Sneed. I don't know what the hell's going on. Tell me I'm crazy.
Why would I do that? This was the Grinch. The Chiefs came into Christmas dressed as the Grinch, and they did not want anyone to have any presents and anything happy. It felt like they were, except for the Raiders, Patrick throwing an interception, them gift wrapping a fumble touchdown to them, and in a game where once again we're talking about not going to be able to talk about how great the defense played in this game outside of the last two runs, which shouldn't have mattered because they allowed 6 points in this whole game. We're going to be talking once again about the same issues. And honestly, at this point, I'm not even mad anymore. Like, I'm used to this. This is what 2023 has brought. And it's mistakes. It's the inability to get open. It's the same stuff we're seeing over and over again. The one added thing that we've seen over the last month is that Jawan Taylor and the tackle situation have gone south fast. Jawan Taylor was objectively bad in this football game. He was terrible. Might be one of the worst performances from a Chiefs tackle in the last 5 years. Might be. Up there with some of Andrew Wiley's performances.
And I have to say, despite my pregame notion that they'd flip him over to face Wanya Morris, they didn't have to because they had backups that could beat Wanya today. So Max Crosby got to go against Jawan Taylor the vast majority of these reps. They didn't need him. And folks, seriously, Merry Christmas to all of you. I know this is not the game that you wanted, and we're not gonna dwell on the negativity, but we got to be truthful about where this is. We're not going long today. We want you to get back to your families. I'm gonna have people coming in and out of the studio all day long, so be prepared. This comes down to it, and this was a little bit hotter for me. Right when I thought that it was the third turnover that Patrick Mahomes had caused, it ended up only being 2. But let's be real, Patrick's game was never close today. Did he scramble? Was he gutsy? Yes. He pulled out when he had to pull out plays. He was able to do that with his feet. His passing was off. He was off target. He made bad decisions all day long. The last one that nearly cost him another interception because he got lazy, didn't throw the damn ball out of bounds. It fired me up, and I'm still pretty angry about it. You cannot have your superstar take shortcuts. Get the job done. That's what this all comes back to. He was pissed off at his offensive line. Fine. I felt the offensive line responded. Am I wrong?
To an extent, you had some accountability a little bit in terms of they had some clean pockets, but they were still bad. They could not run the ball in early downs. They got dominated by the Raiders defensive line all day in the run and the passing game. Like, this was not a game where they responded, in my opinion. They could not, even on plays where, like I said, they got some protection. They got some movement, and that was very rare on the run game. They very rarely ever got any movement, if anything. Not like they could, run the ball anyway with the way the Raiders were consistently in the backfield. Linebackers, safeties, it didn't really matter. But at the end of the day, I mean, you got to be able to hold yourself accountable. And I'm sure we're going to hear Patrick Mahomes talk about how he didn't play very well today. No one's going to get thrown under the bus. We're just going to see Travis Kelce's throwing his helmet down on the sideline. We're on repeat. Once again, I think that's 2 weeks in a row now if we've seen Travis Kelce throw his helmet on the sideline. So things aren't good, and Patrick needs to own his share of the blame today. I yelled when Patrick threw that football. When you're running, you throw it away. You have to throw it away. You cannot trust players to make plays in scheme. You can't trust anybody to do it out of scheme. You can't trust he's going to run through his route, because when's the last time that Marquez Valdez-Scantling has run through anything outside of running deep down the field? You can't do it. It's a poor decision. You can't win, much less compete in football games, because this was not competitive from the moment the Raiders got up those 2 touchdowns. It was not competitive. They couldn't do anything.
And that's not to say we compare Pat Mahomes to Favre a lot in a positive way. This was Brett Favre in a negative way.
Correct.
Taking too many chances, making reckless plays with the ball that just cannot happen. You are that good. You shouldn't do this. This is how great players tarnish their own reputation. This is how great teams knock themselves down, which is exactly why this show is titled They Wrecked Themselves, because they did.
Oh, yeah.
Now, that said, you have to give credit where credit is due, and I probably shouldn't have been as harsh with the defense, because those last 2 plays are going to go down as, hey, the defense screwed it all up too. They really didn't. Like you said, those last 2 plays should not count. They shouldn't have been a factor in the ballgame. The defense played hard. Chris Jones was all over the place early. Yep. Given a couple of missed tackles from the safeties and the linebackers, this game probably is not in this much jeopardy. I thought the corners played well all day. Beyond that, I'd like to see a little bit more from the defensive ends. And he was at a tackle spot when he got that sack, and Chris really pushed him into it. Didn't see much from George Karlaftis today. Mike Dana had a play or 2, but nothing else was really working. This is O'Connell that we talked about shouldn't be able to make plays in this ballgame, and he honestly wasn't, despite the fact you didn't get anything done. I think he went without 2 quarters without a completion. This was quite simply the run game, the power game coming down the Chiefs' throats, and the Chiefs stepping on themselves. I don't know what else to say.
Aiden O'Connell had 0 stats in the second half. None.
0?
He didn't do anything. 0. He didn't complete a pass since the first quarter. They did nothing to win this football game outside of take what the Chiefs gave them. They gave them the interception. That throw from Patrick across the field probably shouldn't be thrown, but
it was late in the
same
play.
Time, a little late, and it was into the wind, if I'm not mistaken. But
yeah,
Jack Jones, who has done nothing but get downhill, and they attacked those screens were the most frustrating thing earlier in the. Yes, Travis got away with 1 early in the game. They went back to it, but that should have been a 0. The guys were back there. They're triggering on everything. We didn't see them outside of one time fake the screen and go the other way. They never did it. The Raiders were seeing and triggering, and the Chiefs had 0 counter to any of that on the offensive side. There was no real threat to run the ball, so the play action pass game was ineffective. And again, you're trying to make the defense trigger on something, and every single time they saw anything with the ball in the backfield, they're triggering downhill in the run game. They see it kind of go to the sideline. They're triggering over there for the screen. They were on every single thing. And outside of Clyde Edwards-Helaire making a guy miss and then busting for 30, they did nothing with countering these triggering downhill defensive players on offense. Andy Reid, a lot of this is on you too. A lot of this is on you. Bad coaching all around. They got outcoached by interim head coach Antonio Pierce. Outcoached. They got outcoached. That's not something you want to have. And I credit a lot of what the Raiders did today to Antonio Pierce. He's done a fantastic job. Hard-nosed football. They make you earn every single inch that you get. And he has them believing that they can win against anybody. And they just, again, this is a team in Kansas City that doesn't believe in themselves, much less what they're putting out on the field every single day or every single weekend. So hats off to them. And Andy Reid's got to look himself in the mirror, which is not something that I don't think ever does. But a lot of what's happened today and this season lands directly on Andy Reid's shoulders. And there's no 2 bones about it.
I agree with you, but from a different aspect. The game plan was flawed because when you got hit in the mouth and things you planned to do were not working, you didn't have an answer. You didn't have a way to alter what you were doing to attack them wherever they were, which is across the middle. We've talked all season about it. It's just stubbornness where you're not prepared week in, week out to have to zig when they zag. And it's always a broken record with this team. Now what they've done is they put themselves not only out of contention for the number 1 seed, they're looking like, hey, they might not be able to win a wild card game. Let's be honest right now. This is a team in trouble. They are sinking, and there's no life preserver to come around except for what's already in that room.
I'm seeing a lot of fire Andy Reid, which, come on, that's don't go right to the crazy. Don't go right to the crazy. You can be mad all you want to. I'm frustrated. I'm mad with what we're seeing, but firing Andy Reid's not the case. Because even if let's just put the hypothetical out there. Even if Andy Reid were the root of all problems and firing him would free everything up, who you bringing in to replace a 2-time Super Bowl champion, one of the greatest coaches of all time? Who you doing? Who's doing that job? Nobody's doing that job. So let's just go ahead and cut that out right now. It's not happening. There are going to be changes to this coaching staff on the offense side in the offseason. I don't care what Andy Reid said about Connor Embry earlier this week, because I'm telling you right now, his ass is out. Maybe if it's not out this week, which it probably should be, it will be at the end of the season. And I know that I've defended Matt Nagy's ability to be impactful in the offensive scheme, wide receiver talent aside. His coach is also on the line. His job is also on the line a little bit too. I think that Andy Reid is very comfortable, too comfortable putting people that he trusts, that he likes, that he personally likes in positions of power, and it's worked out for so many years. Maybe this time it's not. And again, these are opinions that we have that can change all the time. I defended Matt Nagy earlier, and I don't know what's going to happen, but I do think at this stage in the season, this stage in what's happening, no one on the offensive side's job is safe except for Andy Reid, who's not going anywhere.
And I think that they can adjust it. They need to bring in some new blood. We'll talk about that in the offseason. Kudos to the running back room. A couple of those guys had to miss this week. They were not feeling that great. Both the running backs ran hard, did everything they could. Pacheco's an energy giver continually. I'm just going to say this, and people in Isaiah might not appreciate it. Just cut your hair, bro. I think you should just cut your hair, ratchet that helmet down tighter so that it stays on you more. I don't want to see Isaiah Pacheco have his helmet come off again and risk even more serious injury. Clyde put up hard yards. Sometimes he probably missed a hole. There's at least two that I thought he had a better way to attack the defense, but he made contact. He ran through it. He got the job done as best that he could. Things that we ran down pregame, it was 12 targets for Rashee Rice. Yes, there were a couple of problems there. It was only a 50% completion rate today. Physical game, maybe that's part of it. He was still the primary target. That's what we should do. We kind of called that. Richie James had the play of the game in terms of distance, and I think they looked at him too late and too little. That could have been what one of the primary things is they should have moved to, is using Richie to attack the middle, which I do feel they were still susceptible against. But the problem was you didn't have pass block hold up. I thought Joe Tooney played a solid game. I thought he was a little bit all over frenetic the first quarter, but I think it settled down there. As for everybody else, I got to see the 22 before I can give you an honest assessment. But this starts and ends with the quarterback for me. The defense did its job. The wide receivers cannot be fixed at this point. You can only make do with what you have. So it's got to come from a more controlled and realistic Patrick Mahomes in order for them to get back on this track record and try to fight back for not only a home game, but a berth that allows them a path to get to a championship game. I'll put the Super Bowl on hold from now on. That's what I'm going to do. We do have some super chats. We are going to answer those today, folks. We're going to keep it nice and short, though, because we know you have family. We have family. We want to get back to it. But bottom line this was a huge misstep for this roster and getting game plan prepared, getting day prepared. Everybody kind of took the day off, and it looked pretty poor. So last thoughts, Dan, and we'll jump into the super chats.
Yeah, so I know no one wants to hear this right now. I know nobody does. At the end of the day right now, it looks like the Chiefs, again, this is assumptions, if they win the next two games, or even actually this next week, they will lock themselves into the 3 seed. Use week 18 as a bye week, because Lord knows the Chiefs need it. They need to rest. They need to rest, not having anything to play for. In that point, the Chiefs look exhausted, they look tired, and they look mentally disengaged. At the end of the day, especially specifically on offense, the Chiefs defense is young, they're flying around the football, they're doing all they can do. But that can only do so much too. They can get some of their better players rest in week 18 if they win this week against the Bengals, which is going to be fun to find out. Because right now, backup quarterbacks, doesn't really matter if they're playing against the Chiefs, because they don't need to do anything to win. They just wait for the offense to screw up, and there you go. We don't have to do anything, just win. So, again, defense is awesome. This is the best defense the Chiefs have ever had under Patrick Mahomes. And it's unfortunate that this season is going the way that it is, and nothing is going to be fixed. Continue to find ways to beat themselves and the other team every week. They couldn't do it this week. They couldn't come to the table. And I'm just, it's disappointing to watch that performance and watching Mahomes run for his life in a game that is not the Super Bowl against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is not something that I expected, regardless of what was going on with the offensive line.
Yeah.
So it was tough.
It was tough. I completely agree. We want to get your super chats in, folks. Thank you for all the support. We appreciate you very much. And again, Merry Christmas. I hope that the rest of the evening goes well. I got bird smells coming in here real quick, so I can see that in my future real quick. Brandon, thank you for your support. We very much appreciate you. Everyone is to blame for this game. Could the Chiefs get JMO from the Lions this offseason?
No.
Only if they part with him as a cut. No one's going to be trading anything. We're going to have a long discussion about, do the Chiefs reprioritize what they do? After today, I think people might drift back towards my line of thinking that left tackle is still the most important need right now. I know it's tight with the wide receivers, but I feel like there's more opportunity in free agency for the wide receiver group than there is for the tackle group. We will see. But Jamison Williams, the former Alabama wide receiver for the Lions, I don't think you're going to be able to pry him away. Knicks fans, they looked bad on the O-line. And like I said, Tooney's the only one who stood out to me in a general positive way. I thought Creed was even. I didn't see anything. I know Trey went to the 10. I didn't see any report about that yet. Did you?
Not yet. Just that he got leg whipped and then he went back out there, but then he, got nicked up a little bit again. It's tough with the injury stuff, but we'll probably find out more in the press conferences.
Yeah. They should be short and quick today, folks. I will be on Locked On Chiefs as well, so join us there. Nick Lennington, thank you, buddy. Appreciate you. I can't stand MBS anymore. Get him out of here. No tackles and no wide receivers can get open. It's not a fun combo. I'm starting to lean towards Ryan idea of a tackle instead of, okay. So, hey, I get it, Nick. Like, you go back and forth, and honestly, the worse the matchup is for one, you're going to lean that way that week and do what I do and go back the other way the next week. It's just the way that it is. But Merry Christmas to you, and thank you for the support as always. I hope that it's a good night.
Merry Christmas.
Let's see. Yeah, Juju must have been Jerry freaking Rice. I mean, Gold Towel, thanks for the support, and we appreciate you always have good comments, Dan. I mean, do you think that it's just that basic, that Juju is a better level of player than they have right now?
I think that he elevates what everyone else can do. I think that the big part of this offense is that when they take Travis Kelce away, there is nobody that's able to identify the open spaces within Patrick's level of his reads. And I know people are going to point out that receivers were open. They're not open in the structure of the reads. That's the problem. You can point to a guy on the right-hand side of the field open all day long if Patrick is looking to his left. Like, you have to be open within the structure of the reads. And I think that what Juju did was that he was like that next guy in the progression if he wasn't the first read. And he was finding those spots. And that's, again, what we're seeing right now is that nobody is doing that. They are having Rashee Rice have to be that guy. And we saw it happen again today, where instead of just dropping into that seam zone, he takes it a little bit too far to the linebacker and turns around. Like, this little tiny stuff. If that's Juju, it's completion. And that's the difference, is that it just takes these little tiny things. And when you take an offense that's built on timing and scheme, because they don't trust their players to get open at all. Andy Reid trusts his scheme more than wide receiver talent, which is a problem. It creates this. So that's what we're seeing.
Yeah, and there's no way around it. Accuracy was an issue for Patrick today. And for those of you that want to tell me that I'm throwing Patrick under the bus, I generally am very slow to point the finger at Patrick Mahomes. Today was his day. He was not Patrick Mahomes today.
Nope.
Other than with his feet. So it all comes back to everyone. It was a Christmas day. I know it was weird, but they were not prepped to play this game. This team needs drastic changes. This offense has quit. They've mentally checked out. It's time for the offseason, not the postseason. Matthew, I appreciate that and your support. I'm not ready to say that because there's no fight until you get knocked out, especially for a team of this caliber with so many returning guys from a Super Bowl. I agree. Some of them have checked out. They looked lackadaisical at best at times today. So I'm totally with you there. But I need to see this team go into the offseason and fail and have that fire restoked. Let's be honest. It's been 5 straight seasons of a significant postseason run for this team.
Yeah.
The veterans are tired. Patrick's tired. Kelsey's tired. And so if they exit early, it may be better for them in the long run. We'll just have to see how that plays out. I'm not ready to call for it.
No, I would love to see MVS get cut, though. I'm done with the experiment. I'm done with it. Honestly,
I'm sure that's coming.
He's not providing anything to this offense. And I'm going to go on a rant to this week about this specific topic for you guys as members, because I'm tired of watching MVS run any type of route. I'm tired of it. I knew this when he came over. I allowed myself to be bought in this season. I'm done. You won't.
Good.
You know, it's the thing. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I'm not letting that happen, guys. I'm done.
Good. We should all take that advice and roll with it. Rob Warden, thanks, buddy. Andy is supposed to be a genius. Does Andy have it in him to point fingers or get the offense motivated? He can certainly point fingers. We know that he's called out and challenged players before. Will he point the fingers and be accusatory? I can't tell you. But there should be some fire in that locker room right now, and then they should put it to rest, let their families enjoy the holiday, and then they come back to work. It should be fire all week long. I wouldn't be surprised if we see hitting practices this week because they need it.
Something's got to change, guys. I don't know what NFL players or what NFL teams do in practice to ignite fire and do that kind of stuff. I'd be running wind sprints if I were a head coach. I would have these players running sprints. Like, get back up. You guys have seen the movie Miracle, right? After they lost the game, right, he had them out on that ice doing Andy Reid should get them out on that field and run sprints right now. Something has to change with the mentality. I don't know what it is, but right now there's not enough of any of the fire between anybody outside of Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes. Those are the 2 guys we're seeing fire out of, but that's not enough right now.
It's not, and it's got to catch everybody else. And 2 out of 2 Tracy brothers agree. So everybody give Jason a hand for hosting us here. He hosted us for the draft, and we'll be here again. Thank you, Rob. We appreciate your support, Callie brother. I am sorry, dude. Every time you travel someplace and make a giant deal out of it, they let you down, and I am here to apologize for them. It is insane, and I hope that you were able to have some fun out there. It didn't look like it was raining too terrible actively, but I'm sure it was wet. Callie, you're a good man. Just keep chasing it, brother. Full overhaul coming in the offense. There's going to be at least 3 new receivers added in free agency in the draft, and I think a tight end. Overhaul. Donnie, I won't argue with you. Do you get to that extent as well, Dan? Three out of let's say they only keep 5 wide receivers next year. 3 of them new to this roster?
Yeah, that absolutely should be. I'm telling you right now, I know that the Buccaneers are doing a good job of playing good football, but looks like they're going to be bringing Baker Mayfield back next season. And they've done a good job, but let's be honest. That is agreeing with being mediocre to a just above average team. The Chiefs need to throw money at Mike Evans. Throw it at him. Right now. Start getting, I don't care what we're talking about. Start laying a little bit of groundwork. And I know people are going to want T. Higgins. T. Higgins is going to be more expensive. Just is.
Yeah.
Going to be more expensive.
Well, by a factor of 2, maybe.
Yeah. So I'm all for going after Mike Evans, regardless of his age. I think that having a good veteran in the room can help. But at the end of the day, overhaul, yes. And just one more time here, hats off to what the Raiders and Antonio Pierce, their coach, did today. It was a fantastic scheme, or fantastically derived defensive game plan, because he knew exactly what they couldn't do, which is threaten them deep. And he said, guys, just trade stuff off. They can't do anything if you just continue to trade off their routes and get pressure on Mahomes. And it was it. So, again, hats off to what they did. And I know you guys don't want to hear it, but again, you have to give credit where it's due. And Antonio Pierce and that defense deserve a lot of credit today.
They do, but I will say this because Patrick won't. Max, stop twisting his damn ankles. I'm tired of it.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I can't stand that stuff.
You're above that. You're a better player than that. Knock it off.
He's not there,
Thundarius,
but
I hope you had a good time, brother. I didn't see your sign in the broadcast, but I know it was there. I had great seats for this crapshoot. Type a paragraph about went wrong. A lot of great footage that won't see the light of the day. You know what? Put it up as a reel and let everybody have a look at it just to get the Arrowhead experience, buddy. I think that would be nice content as well. And I'm sorry you had to go through that, but I'm glad you made it. So cheers to you. This team is Veach's fault, less something. I only care about Snead and Tranquil next year on defense. We need wide receivers, O-line, big running back. Reed has to step up too. What do you think of Diamond's plan?
I mean, I don't necessarily think that they need a big running back. I would settle for a guy who has speed and short area quickness, because every time I see Isaiah Pacheco catch a pass in the flat, I know it's going virtually nowhere unless he has 10 yards of space, because he cannot make anybody miss in a phone booth in space. He can't do it every single time. Clyde can, but then he can't break away from anybody else except for when there's nobody around. So you have this struggle where you have, all right, good short area quickness, no long speed. Good long speed, no short area quickness. I'd like to see them get a running back that has a little bit of both to really accentuate the flat game, because they get maybe 5-6 on average from Clyde when they could get 10 plus from Pacheco if he can make guys miss. He can't though.
Right.
So again, we're talking about wide receiver, offensive line, or tackle. Those are the two main huge offensive needs right now.
Stop me if you heard this before, folks, from everything I've ever said about the athletic matrix. Explosiveness and short area quickness. Those are the things that we're looking for. Every position, everywhere, all the time, without doubt. Diamonds, thanks for the support, buddy. Thank you, Harold. Appreciate you, buddy. Just wanted to say Merry Christmas to you both, and thanks for spending the time with us. Thanks for spending your time with us today. You have your family, too. So
yeah, let's not forget, it is Christmas, guys. Just try not to let this destroy your day. Yeah. I'm still going to be cooking. I've got, dinner rolls done. I've got my prime rib on. I got to go check the temperature here in a little bit. Yep. Just don't forget, it's still Christmas. It's okay. It's going to be okay.
It is going to be okay. Ours is coming in here soon too. So, hey, Harold, thank you. We appreciate you. Brother Rick, do they miss EB as the OC? Let's not forget the Raiders had 2 weeks rest. Yes, they did have 2 weeks rest. And I do think the attributes that EB brought, accountability, a harshness, a challenging of the players, I do think they missed that. I think for EB's sake, he needed to go. He needed to get his chance at a head coaching position. I think with Ron Rivera, he has that opportunity, so good for him. They need somebody to replace him. They need somebody with some edge to them to come in. As much as they miss Frank Clark on the field, right? And we always talked about the edge that Frank brought. They need that in the coaching room. And I think that's what EB has missed the most. Tom, I'm so sad for Connor Embry. I could spit. I'm so mad at him. I could spit cotton. I mean, I won't argue, but at the same time, they have a full staff. They have another renowned wide receiver on the staff. They have Jay that's been on the staff and coached the wide receivers. There's enough talent then that if they're not getting it from one particular coach, they could ask questions, go elsewhere. In the end, execution is on the players. Let's not lose sight of that, because it's too easy for folks to roll downhill and blame the coaches for everything. It is still on the players too. Since we did not have a comeback, since when do we not come back for the ball? I mean, yeah, NBA's been here how long and should know better.
Yeah.
No one seemed to look the ball into their hands. You're right. Tom, I'm glad that you broke all these up. Thanks for the contributions, buddy. Appreciate you,
man.
And Chris, you're not in the minority. I do have hope as well. I'm just trying to be honest with everybody. And I'm glad that you're putting this out there so that everyone can see. You should keep hope alive. It is still there. They can still turn around. The talent is on this roster. They just got to figure it out. But Chris Pete, thank you for yours as well. Tom, even with Brady, the Pats could miss the playoffs. Yes, it happens from time to time. FLDB, welcome back to the memberships. We appreciate you.
Nice.
For those of you who don't know FLDB, he's around here all the time. He runs our Discord. If you want to get in the Discord, if you want to get the notes, if you want to get my notes that have cuss words in them this week, if you want to see Dan's rants, you can join the memberships at the rookie level and above, and that's how you get the extra content. Tom's last one here, Las Vegas was way vulnerable over the middle. Yeah, absolutely. And the last question of the day. Thank you, Tom, for all your support. Draft Cody Schrader out of Mizzou. Quentin wants to know. We do have one more as well. I have no problem with Cody Schrader. It's where. Day 3, certainly 6th, 7th round. I have no problem with that. If you're talking about spending a top 100 pick, I am completely out on the running back position. It has nothing to do with Cody Schrader. I do like what he brings.
This is not a very good draft class for the running back position. It is one of I would say it's one of the worst in the last few years that we've seen. So you want to draft a guy. We're talking, like Ryan said, round 6, round 7. I personally don't think he's changing a ton in this offense. I don't. So that's my own personal opinion, and that's kind of how it is right now. There's going to be other avenues, other players. There's going to be a lot to still watch. I'm kind of excited to see where the Senior Bowl ends up with these players, because they've only had 2 or 3 commits to this point. So we'll see how that ends up, and I'm excited to see that. But I'm not ruling out the possibility again of just drafting a couple of, maybe just at the end of the round drafting Cody Schrader out of Mizzou, another running back, but they're going to bring in some UDFAs for sure. Like they're going to do that. They do that every year. So
yeah, and they can generally find something that can help them out. Aiden, thank you for your support. And this will be our last one, and we'll wrap it up, folks. Merry Christmas, Ryan and Dan. I'm going to the Bengals game next week. I hope that you bring them luck in a game where everything went wrong. What do you think improves for the next game?
Ooh, that's a good question to end on.
It is.
That's actually fantastic. So Merry Christmas, Aiden. Thank you for your super chat. Oh, man. Where do we think everything? Specifically, I think the run game will be better against the Bengals next week. Specifically. Depends on what happens with, I think Clyde's been doing well. The offensive line got their teeth kicked in today. That's where I think Andy Heck can have an impact. He can impact an offensive line a little bit during the week. So I think going next week against the Bengals, the run game is going to be a little bit better. What you got there, Ryan?
I agree. I got stuffing patties.
Oh, them stuffing patties. We're gonna have to,
They just came off the smoker. So if this wasn't our last super chat, it sure is now. Aiden, I appreciate you and thank you very much. I hope you guys have a wonderful Christmas evening. And I hope the holiday's been great to you. We'll have content for you this week. Don't worry. It's going to keep rolling. Not a problem. And then Friday will be a little bit interesting because I'll be on the road. So it may be very, very interesting. But this is a game. We'll start turning towards the Bengals here after we, do a little bit of an autopsy on this corpse of a ball game that it was today. So Merry Christmas to you. Get ready for New Year's. Please stay safe out there. We appreciate you. And we'll talk to you very soon. Dan, any last thoughts?
Well, Andy Reid just said he takes full responsibility for how the team played on offense, but we'll be all right. Rinse and repeat, everybody. Every single week, it's the same stuff. So try to have a great rest of your Christmas day. I know a lot of kids have the week off, so try not to lose your guys' mind over the next week. Plus, spend time with your family. Have a great day, great rest of the week, whatever you're doing, and just don't worry about this. Just throw it in the trash. Move on. Throw it in the trash.
Yep. Moving on. You all have a great one. Merry Christmas. We appreciate everything you do for us, and we'll keep doing our stuff for you. Have a good one. We'll talk to you next time.